Hello, fantasy managers, and welcome to another video from myself, Will, and fantasyfootballhub.co.uk. Today, we are joined by none other than Matthew Jones, who's got a stellar FPL record that you can see up on the screen there. Quite ridiculous, really. Hello, Matthew, and welcome.
Hi, Will. Thanks very much. Good to be here. You okay?
Yes, I'm doing very well, thanks. So taking a look at that FPL record there, which is quite ridiculous, and by some measures, that you're the best FPL manager in the world. How does that feel? And can you tell us a bit more about you, how you got into FPL, and your strategies behind it?
Yeah. Well, I think FPL sort of quite fits in with the way I tend to think. Quite logical and things like that. I used to play Telegraph for a few seasons. A few years before I started this one, probably about 5 years, but not that seriously, really. Then I got invited into a mini league with friends and their sort of colleagues in the FPL. I managed to win it, luckily, the first season, and then after a few years, I think I got sort of thrown out of that league. But it was. I think I'm quite competitive, so that appeals to me. If I do something like this, I like to do it as well as I can. So I've sort of done the research, etc. I'm a very conservative player. I try and bring in players who are fairly safe bets, or not sort of switch between one good option and another option. Try and be patient with players if I think they're good players.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a FPL player quite as patient as you. So
yeah,
hats
I
off.
know. And try and so rather than switch between one good player and another good player, try and look at obvious improvements or likely improvements, or work on problems or issues in my squad. Do it that way to try and sort of continuously improve the team, rather than waste transfers. As you know, I've sort of gone into this a lot more detail in the articles that I've been doing on the Fantasy Football Hub, which I'm sort of partway through. It's taken me quite a while to get through them, as it's I'm trying to really put a lot of effort into them and make sure they're good. So obviously I'll go into things in a lot more detail there, but that's
that's a good point. And for those who don't know, those articles, I'll put a link to all of them in the description. I think it's your 4 key principles to FPL success.
It's kind of feels like a life's work type of thing. So I'm hoping to get them all done over the course of the next few months, and then maybe they can be there as a package in the summer. So
I think that will be great. Okay, then, having a look at your team this season and your last week's points, looking very, very strong there, into the top 6,000 already. And I believe you were 40,000 a few weeks ago, and you hit the wildcard button, and it's shot you up the rankings. So, tell us a little bit about that and your current team at the moment.
Yeah, unlike the usual, when I tend to use a wildcard sort of first or second international break, it never seemed that I needed it that much as each week went past. So, and then as it got sort of closer towards December, etc., I thought, well, it would be quite nice to have it at Christmas, with the Christmas break. So I ended up activating it on Boxing Day, which was the sort of penultimate week that you could use the first wildcard. I got quite lucky in one way, because Solskjaer had just taken over at Manchester United, and I think they'd had their first game under Solskjaer, which they won 5-1 at Cardiff. But just looking, you could just tell the team was had been let off the leash, and I thought looking at the prices of the players, very good value. So I didn't actually bring in Rashford to start with. I brought in Pogba, and I thought was the most nailed on, and he was involved in everything. And I brought in Martial, who's looking very good as well on the left. But I sort of had a view to probably keeping one of the two of those. It was early days in Solskjaer's reigns, and I wasn't sure which one to keep, so I was going to sort of keep an eye on that.
That worked out pretty well for you, didn't it? Jumping on that Man United wagon nice and early.
Yeah, then the other one who was sort of the form player at the time was Son. So although I obviously knew he was going away, which is now become an issue for me this
Yeah,
week. But
yeah,
I thought he'll get the points in the meantime to justify that. You got to get the points when they're available sometimes. So those are the sort of the form players, or I suppose the form players, but value as well. But I sort of built it around 3 premium players. I thought I just wanted to play safe on that, so I went for Kane. Again, we're going to be talking about him, I guess. But
yeah,
at the time, he looked a safe option. Salah, who is always a solid option, and Hazard, again, ticks along with points, and all 3 of those very much nailed on for their teams. Couple of them, or maybe all 3 at the time, were on penalties, on various set pieces. So all those type of things, make them very good go-to options.
Very much acts as a sort of a bedrock for you, and to move your rest of the players around.
Yeah, and then everything else was just fitting in what I could afford, really.
Good stuff. Well, you're certainly moving up the rankings. Just so quickly have a look at my team. Then I'm not too far behind you, a whole 8 points, and moved into the top 10,000. It's our highest position so far. So going in the right direction. I think we've actually got very similar teams, slightly different defense, but
hold that force on the 8 points.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be taking a -4 myself, so
so
maybe just 4 points behind. Yeah. Shall we move on then to the big question of the week, which is Kane replacements. So a lot of you guys are going to be having Kane, and who you're going to be looking at to replace. Any thoughts on this? I mean, who are your top picks?
Yeah, well, it's come into sort of sharp focus for me because I suppose I got a bit unlucky that I knew Son was going to be needed this week, but I didn't know that Kane and Trent were going to be out for a month suddenly. But anyway, so Kane. So for me, I've been sort of thinking about this before the podcast. I think there's 3 main options that I would look at, which are Aubameyang. I think I saw a tweet from Adam Hopcroft, another great contributor to the hub.
Yeah, we've got him coming in a month or so.
Oh, good. That his record at the Emirates is incredible. Since he's been at Arsenal, and 4 of his next 6 are away. And I know he's got a couple of tough fixtures in that, but he's also got some nice fixtures. And he's just a quality player. He's probably could have scored more than he has done in recent weeks, although he has been ticking along.
Yeah, he's had a lot of.
He's nailed. He's on penalties.
Yeah.
He's got the lot. The second one I would look at would be Aguero. That's perhaps for people who like the high risk, high reward situation. He's got a great couple of fixtures coming up, and then Arsenal at home, which could be good as well.
Do you fancy him to get his place back over Jesus?
Well, that's the risk in it, isn't it? I don't know. I mean, you could easily see him scoring 4 in the next 3 games, but like you said, because of Jesus showing up so well himself, it's probably too high risk an option for me. And then the third one, who's probably the obvious one if you haven't got him, is Rashford, who I have got.
Yeah.
So not for me, but I think if I didn't have him, I'd be strongly looking at that and perhaps an upgrade elsewhere, because he just looks such a good value as the main United striker now, in great form. Solskjaer loves him. Can't see any issues there.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think Rashford is definitely the main one. I mean, he's offering value. I think if FPL Towers are to price him now, he'd be up in the 10 million plus bracket. Playing as a centre forward for United.
He just becomes like a no-brainer. I can see you've got Firmino up there.
What do you think of him?
He was like probably the 4th one that I noted down. I'm not as much of a. I know I've seen a few people mention. I'm not as much of a fan of that, because I think Salah is the playing as the number 9 now, so Firmino
playing
is a little bit deeper. So that puts me off a little bit. I know Rashford can drift out wide sometimes, and so can Aubameyang, in fact. But I don't know. I think the other 2 get into the box more often for me. But yeah, I think Firmino could be a very valid option. And I suppose the other thing is it then might stop you doubling up on Liverpool defence if you wanted to do that. But,
Yeah, I
so,
think it looks like, and I'm certainly looking at, the double Liverpool defence, and Salah is
yeah,
probably the three players
yeah,
from that one.
exactly.
But,
So that's another
Firmino,
downside.
I don't think he's a bad shout. And if
No, not at all.
yeah, all right. Moving on then. So you've got Son and Trent Alexander-Arnold as well.
Yeah,
Should we go on to potential Son replacements then?
yeah.
And
Well,
who you eyeing up for that position?
well, this one I actually pre-planned before last week. So last week I effectively switched Martial to Rashford, but then
Yeah.
a couple of like make ways because obviously it's not a direct switch. And I ended up thinking, well, if I go cheaper for one of the make weights, it'll give me enough money to upgrade Son to Sane, which is what I did. I actually had to do it before the City game, which is always dangerous, but the price was probably going up, and it did. I think it did end up going up. And obviously this is before I knew about Kane, so I probably wouldn't have needed to in hindsight. So yeah, so I went for Sane basically. I can see you've got Ali up. That was the other one. Just looking at my notes, that's the other one I did note down as well. So we haven't conferred on this, have we? But...
No, I think those two are the main two to go for. Obviously, you can see on the stats there that Sane sort of blows Ali out the water. But I was watching the match. I was actually at Wembley for the match on Sunday against United, and Ali should have scored. He should have had a couple of goals. Spurs should have had lots of goals. But his finishing was pretty diabolical, though. I mean, he was shooting straight at De Gea.
Well, you could say that, but then I heard another goalkeeper saying that that's no coincidence that they were shooting at him because he positioned. De Gea is good at positioning himself to like not give him much of an option. So maybe
that's true. But his shots just didn't seem to lack the normal fizz that I've seen from him. But he's got the fixtures, and with Kane out, you'd expect him to play a key role in getting Spurs goals. So there could be if you're up for a bit of a punt, then I think there are certainly worse options.
Yeah, definitely. Although I sort of look at I tend to be like pessimistic, I think, in my outlook. And then, I'm sort of thinking, well, Kane's not there, Son's not there, one or two others are doubts, but, those are the main two. Will the Spurs team actually be that much of a threat? So then, that sort of puts me off look at Spurs in a way, rather. I know you say, well, he'll definitely be playing, might be a bit more advanced, but I think he has done well before when Kane's been out, but I think that's generally been when Son's been up front. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're probably my thoughts. I'm personally leaning towards Sane as well. I suppose if you went the slightly cheaper, I've got a tweet up on the right there looking at Richarlison's shots in the box over the last 6 game weeks. I know a lot of people are thinking about getting rid, but potentially you could go that route. I know that's a bit of a controversial tweet in many ways because his shots on target are actually only 3. But he's having a lot of shots. So if he manages to get some on target, he might come good. And Everton got decent fixtures as well.
I mean, he was another one I was considering before. This was before I sort of got the idea of freeing up some money. Really, I was possibly looking at him and Silva, and I think it was when they played midweek and thrashed Burton. It just that it wasn't because of that, but because De Bruyne started looking good again, and even Gundogan and Bernardo. I just thought there's a lot of competition for David Silva, so it sort of puts me off any of those 4 really. That's why then I thought, well, Sané. Yeah.
Are you worried about Sané in terms of Mendy coming back at all?
Yeah, I think that it will be a worry then, but I sort of was thinking in the back of my mind, well, that's probably about when Son will be back.
Yeah, that was
from Asia, hopefully. So I think it will be okay until then. Just about.
Yeah. And what about Trent Alexander-Arnold? For those who have him, what are your thoughts on his replacements?
Yeah. So again, I've noted down a few options that I would think of. So firstly, if you want to stick with the Liverpool defence, but unfortunately, there's the two that are probably the main ones that are like quite a bit more expensive, which is obviously Robertson and Van Dijk, and I think
Yeah.
those are both really good options. Though, and if you were freeing up money from Kane, you may have the money for one of those. And then the others, the other one, well, two that I've already got, so I wouldn't look at them. But Digne, I still think is a really good option.
Yeah.
I just think he's he's such a fun player to own because he's got that many different ways he can score points. Obviously, get clean sheets as he did at the weekend, but aside from that, he's on direct free kicks. I think he's on corners sometimes.
Yeah.
He gets the byline crosses, so he's got so many ways of scoring. Dorsey's still a good option.
I was very, very close to removing him last week actually for Trent Alexander-Arnold of all people, and
that would have been a disaster.
It would have. I was literally so close to it, and the reason I didn't was because I heard from Silver that Baines would be playing left back and Digne would be pushed further up the pitch. So I thought, I can't get rid of a player who's going to be playing left wing, and I think I lucked out a little.
I did retweet that, didn't I, as a tongue in cheek, saying anyone got a captain Digne? I didn't, obviously.
That would have been a good
and then the only other one that I was going to mention was Luke Shaw. That would be an option for me. It would mean tripling up on United, but they've got the fixtures for it, and also I think it needs to look at each player on their merits. I think he's nailed on now. He's been playing well. Solskjaer seems to like him. He's fairly attacking and things like that. So fixtures.
I'll go along with that. And with Dave Saves in goal, he might actually get a
yeah. So I think those are the ones I'd look at. Have you got any others or?
The only other one, which if you're looking for more of a budget end of the scale, and you're probably not because you've got a lot of Kane funds, is Johnny from Wolves, because they've got a good run. And
that's not bad.
Double up on the Wolves defence if you have Doherty, but if you don't have him and you're looking for a more budget-friendly option, then I might go that route. What do you think of him?
Yeah. I mean, he's like a budget Doherty, basically, isn't he?
Yeah, very attacking.
Not quite as threatening, I think. Sometimes Doherty just seems to stand around the penalty area when he feels like it. Around the penalty spot. But no, definitely a good option for the price.
Good. Okay, then. Last question from Paul is: have you thought about double game weeks and blanks yet? Obviously, we've got very little confirmed. I think there's one blank confirmed in game week 27. Is that right?
There definitely will be two blanks, won't there? And I think one of them will be Man City unless Burton pull off a miracle. And then it'll be Chelsea or Spurs and whoever they're playing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So I guess, have you given any thought to that? How much is it you're thinking with your moves currently?
I do sort of have it in the back of my mind from when whenever they start coming onto the radar, which is about now, I suppose. But I don't think you should at this stage. It's still a few weeks off. So I wouldn't let it sort of dominate my thinking. And also, obviously I've brought in Sané, and I know he's pretty much going to have a blank in 27. But I think if you're comparing two players, like one that has a blank in a few weeks and one that doesn't, you've got to take that into account. You're almost looking at the player with the blank minus 4 points versus perhaps the other player. Obviously as you get nearer the blank, they'll come in sort of inflection point where the player without the blank becomes a better option because of that extra game. But when you're a few weeks out, I'd rather have Sané with a blank and maybe having to take a 4-point hit at the worst comes to the worst, than an inferior player for a number of games.
Yeah, I think I'll go along with that. And I think it's just making sure that you don't sort of pack your team full of players which are likely or confirmed to have blanks. You've got a bench and it is only 1 week. So
I mean, that's why another plus for Liverpool players, because I don't think they've got a blank, have they, either in that week
No.
or game week 31, which would be the next blank after that, because they're not in the cups. So that might be a slight point towards Liverpool players as well.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so having a look at your team again, then, and we talked a little bit about the players that you're eyeing up, but can you just reveal? So you're not doing your team reveal on the hub this week, but we've saved it for the video version. What moves are you considering, and do you already know the ones that you're going to make?
Right. So I've already, as I mentioned earlier, I've already done Son to Sané, and that obviously that doesn't matter in a way, because I was going to have to get rid of Son anyway. But then obviously I've got these two out with the blue injuries, so Alexander Arnold and Kane. So if you looked at my history this year, you'll see I've not taken any hits this year.
That's quite amazing.
I mean, I don't like not take hits. I normally take 3 or 4 a season, something like that, probably. But I'm probably going to have to go straight in with an 8-point hit this week, I think. And I think I'm just going to have to bite the bullet, basically, and accept that I've lost 8 points. Because otherwise I'm going to be always like one transfer behind, and things like that. So probably what I'm looking at is obviously taking those two out, TAA and Kane, and the two that I'm looking at is Van Dijk and Aubameyang. Now, unfortunately, like with the Sané one, that I'm at exact money on that, so I'm going to need to keep an eye on the prices. So I'm sort of glad in a way, but obviously not for Spurs fans, that the Kane has now been ruled out, because that was like, otherwise I'd be waiting to see what happened there. So at least I
definitely out.
At least I've got certainty on that, and I think on Alexander Arnold as well. But obviously, I don't like bringing in players in before the press conferences, but because who knows what could be said in the press conferences. But that's probably what I'm looking at the moment. I don't know what you think of those moves.
They look pretty sensible, to be honest. And I'll just go on to my team. I'm actually considering Kane and Son to Sané and Aubameyang as well. So very similar moves there. I've already done Ings to Rashford. So I'm going to be looking. I had 2 free transfers. So I'm going to be looking at -4.
So that was good to have 2 free transfers then.
Fortunately.
So very similar to what I'm doing then.
Very similar. I think we'll end up with
also got
teams.
I was going to say, you've also already got Robertson, who I can't stretch to. Otherwise he may be a slightly better option again. Although I don't think there's much in it actually between those two.
I think Van Dijk is looking like a pretty good option. Annoyingly, Trent Arnold was he was looking like a great bet, and he had great fixtures. And same with Kane. Actually, he had a brilliant run of fixtures. So
I was a bit disappointed.
Pretty painful to get those.
Because I thought I've got them Spurs fixtures covered. But I don't really like just going for coverage for the sake of it either. So I wouldn't just go like, I've seen people saying, I'll get more or something like that. And I don't know, I wouldn't just get him just to cover some good fixtures. But
I completely agree there. I'm not one for coverage either. You got to look at the individual player rather than the team. At least that's how I like to play. Good. All right then. So we've actually just launched a new membership level this week, and it won't be for everyone, but it effectively gets you one-to-one access to one of our experts, and Matthew is one of those. So it's kind of like I don't know, if you had a tennis lesson and you had a coach and you wanted to help somebody improve how you play tennis, then you might hire a coach. So this is effectively that, but for FPL, and it's called FPL. It's called a tutor. So it's very much about teaching you how to play the game and the nuances of how to play the game, and helping you rise the ranks and navigate the double game weeks. What it won't do, Matthew or whoever you choose, we've got a whole host of experts. It won't. They won't pick your team for you, so the decision is yours. And I think that's very important. But it will teach you how to play the game. And if you're interested in that, I'll leave a link in the description as well. Maybe Matthew, you want to say a few words about what you're offering and a little bit about it as well?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I think like you said, the way I want to do it is very much coaching throughout the
Yeah.
season, and teaching people how to play the game and make better decisions. And then hopefully that helps them improve their ranks, maybe win their mini leagues, maybe win some cash even. But then with the idea being that they improve themselves, and then they no longer need it because they've sort of learned how to do it for themselves. So yeah, definitely. I mean, I haven't got a magic wand, so if someone just says to me like, who's the best captain this week, I don't know any better than anyone else. For me, it's more about how you sort of manage your team. Really, it's hard to describe, but again, it's in the article to a certain extent. But
Yeah.
how you manage risk. The whole approach to playing the game, rather than just I get a lot of questions that would just say like this player or that player, which I'm happy to give views on, but a lot of the time I don't know the answer to that. My guess is as good as yours. Pogba better than Rashford this week.
Yeah, it's about playing the percentages over a season, isn't it? So you're not going to be able to hit like if you sign up for this, you're not going to hit a triple. Somebody who gets a hat trick the first week, it's not really. I mean, you might do that, you might get lucky, but it's not really about that. It's about learning how to play the game and
giving yourself the most chances to score points throughout your team.
Yeah.
Being able to avoid hits because you haven't brought in duff players in the first place, or just that more managed way of playing the game. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I don't want to take on I only want to take on a few people because I want to give good value for money as well. So I don't want to spread myself thinly. So
yeah, so very limited places for Matthew. So if you are keen, as I said, I'll leave a link in the description and that tells you how to sign up and more info on Matthew and everyone else who's going to be act as a tutor. But I think that's about it for this week. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you've got any questions, leave a comment below and I'll do my very best to respond to all of them. But otherwise, it's a goodbye for me. Have you got any final words, Matthew?
No, just good luck everyone this game week, and thanks for having me on.
Great. It's great for everyone to get you to see you and listen to your advice, and hopefully we'll get you on again in the future. But it's a bye from me.
That'd be good, and bye from me as well.
Bye.